crafty friends, this is Tracy Hines, aka Nanner Bananner. Today we're going to learn how to turn simple paint sample strips into darling vintage style tags for your junk journal. In this episode of my vintage 1920s Raggedy Ann and Andy series, I show you how to transform everyday hardware store finds into nostalgic journaling treasures. Let's get started. So here's an example of the tags we're going to be making. I'm going to set these off to the side. I always like to have a sample to look at while I'm making. And let me bring over the items I'm going to be using today. The first thing I want to do is back the paint samples with coffee dyed paper. This way they can be used for journaling cards. So let's get started with that first. I'm going to bring over my parchment paper. I like to use this to glue items. That way I don't get it all over my workstation. And I don't know if you know this or not, but glue does not stick to parchment paper. And it makes for a perfect place to do your gluing. Once it dries, I just turn the page and have like 4 surfaces when I fold it in half like this. All right, let's see which side I want to glue these to. I hope everybody has enjoyed their 4th of July weekend. Mine's wrapping up. This is my final day before I go back to work. I am hoping to spend some time with my son's children, my little grandson Brody and granddaughter Nova today. Looking forward to that after I film the video. That's my plans, is to drive up there and visit with them for a little bit. I am using Yoo-Hoo glue to glue this down today. If you're looking for a really good glue stick, I personally like Yoo-Hoo. It can be messy, as you can see. I'm not pushing hard at all, and it's a pretty soft glue stick, so the glue spreads. But it does stick. I mean, it's not coming up. That's one thing with a lot of the other glue sticks I've used. A week, 2 weeks later, I can peel the paper right off. Unless you're going to be sewing around it, I would recommend a permanent bond glue stick when using glue sticks in your junk journaling, especially if you're selling your journals. If it's just for you, it doesn't matter. I suppose it's whatever you're happy with. And then using a tool to make sure you've got this all pressed down well, or your hands, just make sure you've got it really pressed down well. And now I'm going to cut this out and we can move on to the next step. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you don't have any paint sample strips, you can go into stores like Lowe's or Menards, Home Depot, things like that, and get a few. I never get a lot. I always, if I'm like, this journal is navy blue and red, so I think I went in there and I got 4 navy blue and 4 red. That way I don't wear my welcome out. Or if you're lucky enough when they're throwing out the old sample cards, if you know someone that works at one of those stores, you could put the bug in their ear that you would like to have the old paint sample cards if they dispose of them. Just an idea. So if I'm making a journal and I'm wanting to make tags out of the paint samples, like I said, I may go in and get 4 at a time, but I don't do a lot all at once. I am rounding the corners. I think it gives it a little bit more of a finished look. When I first made them, I did not round the corners, and I decided I liked it better with the corners rounded. Okay. So the next step I want to do is put a doily on each of these. I'm just going to cut a doily in half. And I get these doilies from the cake decorating section at Hobby Lobby's where I get mine. And I'm just going to use the Yoo-Hoo glue stick to glue it down. And all that extra around where I laid the glue down will dry clear. So you don't have to worry about any of that blue glue showing after the fact. Just make sure you've got it down good. This one. If you guys enjoy this video and think you're gonna try making the tags, please give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear if you're gonna try making these or not. Don't forget, I always have free printables to go along with whatever journals I'm working on in my Ko-Fi shop. It's Tracy Hines, aka Nanner Banana, over there too, so it's easy to find. And all you have to do when it asks for the dollar amount for the purchase, just type in 0 and they're free. And then you get to download them and have images to use to make these as well. Alright, let me put that down. And I'm going to glue on my tags next, or my labels, not my tags, my labels. I normally like to use the PVA glue instead of Yoo-Hoo for gluing stuff down. I have more control and it's less messy, but I printed these images off on just regular copy paper and did not print them off on a thicker paper. So I knew that potentially when I use that glue it could cause some warping. So the Yoo-Hoo is a better choice when you're using really thin paper. And I just keep folding my gluing paper around to get it where it doesn't have anything sticky on it, and move on to my next image that I'm gluing down, which is going to be the Raggedy Ann and Andy doll now. I wanted to mention too that I put together 2 kits for this journal series, physical kits, and the physical kits have everything I've used to make the journals, the embellishments, the ephemera. There's absolutely, the only thing you'll need is to print off the free digital, and you'll need glue and scissors, that sort of thing. But I mean, even down to like the buttons and the bulb pens are in the kit that I've put together. I've only had enough leftover stuff to do 2, but I'm going to put those in my Ko-Fi store. I believe I can sell physical items there as well. If anyone's interested, I should have those up in the next week or less. Just keep a lookout over there, and subscribe over there as well, or follow me, and you won't miss when I put them up. Alright, let's see here. I think next month, I think I've figured out what I'm doing for next month's journal. I try to work ahead, that way I can get the digital all done before I'm ready to start. And I want to do kind of like a back to school theme, and I was torn between doing Sesame Street journals and let's see, the next thing I want to do is put the hole in for the journal tag. Let me do that next. I was torn between doing Sesame Street, and there is a lot of copyright restrictions on that. And you can always, once you buy a book, use the images in the book. That's allowed. Not to make a digital though. Like I couldn't use those and make a digital. That's not allowed. But for like an individual person wanting to do it, you're allowed to use those images for your own personal journal, or even once you own the book, to sell it. I forget what that's called, but now I could do like a digital with bright colors, ABCs, 1, 2, 3, crayons, that sort of thing. And I've actually mocked that up, and it would be cute, but I have done more research and found out the McGuffey readers are out of copyright, and Sunbonnet Sue is not in copyright. So I think I'm going to do a mashup. I've already started working on the digital, and it will be a mashup between the McGuffey readers and Sunbonnet Sue. And so the theme would be back to school, but it would also include like some quilting and sewing things in there as well. Hopefully that wouldn't be too confusing of a theme, but I would love to know if you watch the video and feel like leaving a comment. What do you think of that for an idea of a monthly, next month's journal idea? I found some really neat Sunbonnet Sue stuff, and again, I'm going to try and put together some kits. I think I have enough to do maybe 10 kits if I do the Sunbonnet Sue. All right, so we are adding the hole reinforcers now. And I just punched those out using, I don't know if this says the size on here or not. It doesn't, but I use the smallest circle punch, and then I believe this is a 1/2 inch circle punch. Let me see real quick. Oh no, it's not a 1 inch though. It may be a 1/2 inch, I can't tell. All right, and let's see, the next thing I need to do is add my rickrack. This is another thing, if you didn't have any rickrack, you could leave this off, because I was torn between using it or not using it and decided to go ahead and add it. I try to pick materials that are easily available to anyone watching, and like I said, I always offer the digital for images in case you don't have a Raggedy Ann book in your stash. You would have a way of still following along to make some of this stuff with the images in the digital. Okay, we're going to add a ribbon at the top. I know I love making ephemera and embellishments, and it's always fun, even if you're not working on this theme yourself in your journals, just to make it ahead and have it. Makes good happy mail to share with people, that sort of thing. I am learning a lot about copyright laws, though, I will say that. And the bad thing is some of them are a little bit open to interpretation, and obviously, in my opinion, you'd want to err on the side of probably being overly careful than not careful enough when you're doing copyright, anything that could be construed as copyright. I just know as the average person just making journals for themselves, you really don't have, and not making anything reproducible, you really don't have anything to worry about, because you're allowed to use books and cut them apart and alter them and change them once you purchase them. They're yours. You own that item. Okay, I'm going to add a button to add some more texture and dimension to these. This is an example in the kits I've put together. There's paint chips, there's buttons, there's bulb pens, there's ribbon, everything you need. And then I also cut out some of the felt stars to add as well. Right. Hopefully I've not been out of frame. I like this mat because I know if I'm in the center there, I'm in frame. I know sometimes you get so busy making that you go out of frame sometimes. All right, so that's how I put these together. I hope you enjoyed this make. And if you did, again, just give it a like, share, subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.